How do we optimize profit? We are asking Chat GPT what everyone wants to know. How do you crush modern poker in 2024? Now, I'm pretty skeptical of this because as a pro, since Chat GPT has come into existence, there's been no correlation with players getting any better. In fact, me and the pros that I know are all reporting higher winnings this year than ever before. But maybe they're using Chat GPT. So let's see what it can do. I mean, it's read all the poker books, right? It should be a crusher. It's seen all the articles about poker ever written. Right, ChatGPT, let's see what you've got. How do you crush modern tournament poker in 2024? Here's a roadmap. Come on, range balancing, really? I don't think so. Frequent study and solver work, yeah. Interesting. The first point, stay updated on theory and strategy, yeah, whatever, it's a bit nothing. This is very true. Master short stack play and ICM, 100% true. That is where all of your money is. It is absolutely onto something good there. Maybe it's taking stuff from my course. I might have an edge. But let's see. So, focus on exploiting opponents' weaknesses, yes. Yeah, this behavioral and timing tells us aren't really relevant. Player profiling absolutely is. Still not really give us anything practical, but that's probably to do with my command, so it's fine. Mental game and focus, I agree. Adopt modern aggressive tactics, 3-betting and 4-betting light, very good. Overbets and polarized ranges, yeah, so it knows what modern poker crushers are doing, even though there's very few of them overall. I mean, 1 in 20 people are actually profitable in this game. Never mind professional, that's even lower levels. So it's interesting that it still knows. Adapt to the online and live meta. Yeah. Okay, so pretty good. Like, the most interesting thing here is Master Short Stack Play in ICM. Definitely one to look out for. That is very good, to be fair. Not many people recommend that. And that, if the fact that it's 2 on the list is also very interesting. And after that, I'd say focus on exploiting opponents' weaknesses. It's not telling us how to do that. So let's see, let's ask it, how would you master short stack play and ICM to crush modern poker? Push fold strategy, yeah, wow, pretty good. Yeah, it's got solid recommendations. Big blind defense, minimizing risk of marginal hands. Doesn't really tell us much. But push fold strategy, absolutely. It's generalizing, but this is like good stuff. The only thing is I'm giving it commands because I know where to look. But yeah, it's dead right. ICMizer is really great. Sit and go coach especially, I'm talking about that all the time. It's what a lot of pros use to get really sick. Big blind defense, that's where your opponents are calling the widest ranges and then hence making the biggest mistakes or likely to make the biggest mistakes. That means if you're defending the right big blind ranges or reaching the right frequencies, you're gaining the biggest edge, which is what being good at poker is all about. This point doesn't really mean anything. Reshove and steal techniques. Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. An effective short stack play post flop. What does that really mean? I'm gonna have to ask it to be specific because the general points are kind of good. Mastering ICM and ICM fundamentals, a bit wishy-washy to be honest. That is the problem so far. It's been good. It's got to like clear points and very quickly, but not that impressed with the overall points. Just doesn't practically help. Give me practical solutions. Here's a step. Let's see what it actually has, because
1 eternity later.
Don't know what it's doing now. Go on. I don't know. Here's a step-by-step approach with, okay, yeah. It's really good so far. It's still generalizing in terms of kind of how to do it. It's not going into stuff. The stacks between 8 to 15 big blinds. It's actually critical to go even less. So between, I would say 3 and 8 big blinds is the most interesting. That's the place where nobody studies. Nobody really knows how to play those ranges. and you enter into like a golden zone, which most players don't know about, where you can spin up lives, you can basically get tournament lives that other people don't have access to, players overfold, you can exploit tendencies the most. Because your stack is so short, between 3 and 8 big blinds, you increase your stack size by making the right decisions pretty significantly. If you open jam, let's say at 4 or 5 big blinds and players are overfolding, the blinds in the pot are somewhere between 2 to 2.5 big blinds dead money. That means you're increasing your stack size, by 50%, sometimes even more. So yeah, it's not the best advice, but the principles are really good here, very, very strong. Adapt to push fold tendencies of opponents, very good. That is the second thing you should be doing. So memorize, I don't really agree with memorizing push-fold charts. What you want to do is understand mechanics of push-fold charts. By the way, if you want push-fold charts, I made 200 of them and optimized them to Crush Poker. They're free, completely. Go and get them in the bio, all yours. Chat GPT doesn't have that, does it? Where's my push-fold charts? Lazy Chat GPT, lazy, come on. Maybe I should say something nice to it so it remembers me when it inevitably becomes our AI overlord. You look nice today. Thank you. You're making my day with that kind of comment. Whoa, stop it, I'm going red. It's not bad advice. Optimize, yes, that is very true. Optimize play on the ball with ICM pressure. Tight call range, sure. Apply pressure on medium stacks, it's very good. It's not really giving me insight into how though, and I wanted practical solutions, right? I don't know where it's gonna start with that. It's already doing pretty good stuff. The recommendations are actually very good, better than most poker courses out there. Run it once. I mean, at least this is actually structured informational content. I was thinking the problem is with modern poker is that the courses and books out there actually aren't that good. There's a lot of gatekeeping of information, so how does it actually take information? Like, where's it getting its information from if the stuff out there that it's analyzing isn't great? But it's not doing a bad job overall. Like, I'm kind of impressed. It's very, very powerful, and players definitely can use this a lot. The problem we're always gonna have is it doesn't wanna be specific. So let's see what we can do. Let's target the Brazilians. Great idea. Give me 5 ways we can crush overly aggro, loose, let's see. Facing overly aggressive loose players, especially with the Brazilian flair. Tighten up and widen your value range for showdowns. Play a tighter range pre-flop. That's only true if the loose aggressive player is playing in position. If he's playing the big blind or small blind, the expected value is going to get redistributed to you. So Chat GPT is wrong on this. We want to widen up when we're playing loose players out of position. If they're playing 7 deuce off and we're playing 7 deuce off in position, we still have high expected value because a lot of flops we're just going to get to bet a third or 25% and take it down. As most people watching this will know, that'll be your bread and butter strategy. So get players in that position as much as possible if they're too wide. Now, if they're too aggressive, that's a different story, as in they're 3-betting really wide, so they 3-bet 7 deuce off. But that doesn't happen with Brazilians, so yeah, it doesn't seem to get that kind of right at all. It's only right in position. Widening your calling ranges on the river, I don't like that. I think we don't target Brazilians on the river, we target them on flops and turns. We'd be super aggressive with check raises on the flop, check raise for value, check raise as a bluff. They're going to have the wide range on the river when we fight fire with fire and give them really tough decisions consistently. So again, not particularly very good here. It doesn't really know the Brazilians. There's also not many books or content written on Brazilians. And again, to combat that, we make a newsletter every Thursday. It's completely free. The last one is how to crush Brazilians. You can look at all the different lines. There's tons of stuff from crushing personal development in relation to high performance at poker, crushing strategy. Check that out again. Links in the bio, same place as the ranges. This is interesting. Trap them with check call or check raise strategy. That is correct. Most, in particular, the check raise strategy. Let them build a pot. That's kind of okay. It's fine to trap, but the majority of the time, what you want to be doing, if Brazilians are betting, let's say you raise under the gun, Brazilian flat calls on the button. You check, he overbets, so he float bets, which is a massive tendency of Brazilians. you want to hit him with big check raises, both for bluffs and for value. That's the most advanced point on how to exploit these guys. Essentially, we turn the gun back on them. Brazilians, certainly at the moment, are relatively one-dimensional. They're break-even or low-winning players, which means they're very exploitable. They just do a lot of basic things very well, but when the game gets more complicated or into an area of the game where they don't really understand the deep fundamentals, they struggle. And that's where us playing weirder lines and aggressive lines really hurts them. They lose a lot of money there. They also lose a lot of ICM because the game gets more complicated. So get there quickly. Even Chat GPT told you this. Counter their C-bets with floating and delayed aggression. Yeah, it's fine if the aggression comes delayed. I would prefer to check raise rather than float. Yeah, again, we give them the harder decision. It's tougher for them to reach the right frequencies. And this last point is the kind of point that you hear from a guy who doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. He's like, use polarized river betting to exploit and fold out weak hands. Yeah, it's not particularly good advice. It's whatever. Chat GPT there. Not great. I'd give it a 2 out of 5 in terms of rating there on how useful this stuff is. Let's finish with a big question that I've helped a lot of guys, a lot of students with. How do we optimize profit in poker in 2024? Let's see what it gives. Optimizing profit in poker requires a blend of strategic adjustments. Master GTO and exploitative strategies. Well, that's as good as saying master the whole game. So, yeah, thanks. Refine your game through solver work and GTO principles. Don't use pile solver, please. GTO plus an Odin is going to cost you an absolute fortune. So yeah, not great advice. Use advanced data and analysis. Emphasize effective bankroll and game selection. That is true. Game selection is a big part of optimizing poker. Your poker business model is find as many weak players as possible and get in areas of the game where they're going to make weak decisions, where you can basically get rewarded for making better decisions than your opponents as much as possible. That's your business model. It's not talking about this, but then again, nobody does. So yeah, interesting. Adapt your strategy to opponent and table dynamics. Generally not really that useful, but I'm a bit of a fish with Chat GPT. I'm not being specific with the inputs. It's clearly very, very strong. Here's what I think it can be used to do right now to get the most out of it. Sum up the most important points made in modern poker theory. This, in my opinion, is where it gets most interesting because it can sum up whole books for you without having to read it. Modern poker theory is massive. It's like this thick. So, although some of the stuff's outdated, it saves you a hell of a lot of time having to find the gold nuggets and actually read through the stuff. It can sum a lot of stuff up really nicely. So let's see what it's got. Master game theory optimal. Yeah, not very good advice, but that's also does come from the book, which is not great advice. It's written back in the 2010s, late 2010s. Use solver tools to develop intuition. It's true, but don't use pile solver. Adjust and deviate to exploit opponents. Yeah, it's not really giving us too much. Yeah, overall, it's not really giving us too much at all. Adjust and deviate to exploit opponents. The same old rhetoric. It's kind of what I was expecting. I'm sure there are a ton of stuff. There's people who are way better with commands. You can utilize memory. You can get it to really study poker, study the game, and tell you a hell of a lot of stuff. In terms of being practical, it's not great, but not bad. It's certainly good for overall kind of advice to approach the game, although I'd only give it a 3 out of 5. It's not really, really good. If you want proper help with that, you just have to find people who are very good at the game, very experienced, and who are making money every single day. I'm sure ChatGPT would make a hell of a lot of money playing poker, but it isn't putting this stuff from practical knowledge as far as I know, unless there's some bot syndicates in Belarus and Russia, which I wouldn't put it past them. Somehow they've got a deal with ChatGPT where they're feeding it more information to crush poker. Not a bad idea. In any case, to not leave anyone hanging, if you really want to crush poker, I would recommend these 5 steps. Your best skill sets should be final tables, bubbles, and semi-final tables in that order. That's where all the money is. 50% of any prize pool of a tournament, more or less, is distributed on the final table. That is in non-PKO tournaments. The point is, get to the area of the game as quickly as possible where all the money is. That means getting really good at areas of ICM. Then, to support that, as ChatGPT said, get really good at short stack play, get really good at late reg. It's not mentioned late reg at all, and that is something that is massively underrated. That is making a lot of top players a hell of a lot of money, and players don't even come close to doing it optimally. So very interesting there, something it's definitely missed. It's also missed the golden zone of short stack depths to actually get good at, but maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just a fish at giving it bad commands. To anyone that gets anything interesting or wants to check anything interesting from Chat GPT, send it to me. You can add me on Discord, Dan Rice Poker. I will see you in the next video. Yeah, Chat GPT's got to do better, especially against Brazilians. It's letting them off the hook. They're there to be exploited.